Hello and welcome viewers of AVG News. My name is Mxoli Sengube. I'm here to try and take you step by step via the process of applying for waivers for those who believe that they need to apply for this document so that they can proceed with their applications for the mainstream South African permits. I'm doing this because we keep on getting questions from people who do not know what exactly to do uh, and who need certain clarifications on how to go about this. So this is why I've decided to come live here and try and explain to the best of my knowledge what exactly it is that you need and the whole process around the waiver. Uh, Before I go ahead, I would like to ask you to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, and to share it so that you all know that the time is no longer on the side of those who are applying for the mainstream South African permits while trying to move from the Zimbabwe exemption permit. So I would like you to share this so that we do not continue to parrot the same message to people who may be having the same problems. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk you through the requirements for applying for a waiver. Who can apply for this waiver? How can they apply for this waiver? What documents they need to send through for this application to be complete. So what is a waiver? A waiver is a regulatory requirement in terms of people who are applying for permits, that is in as far as the Home Affairs Department is concerned. So the minister is empowered in terms of the South African Immigration Act to waive any regulatory requirement or form that people need to satisfy for them to be able or be considered for any permit that you are applying for. You may apply for that waiver on the basis that a good cause exists for the granting of the waiver. And the good cause is not clear. It is not clearly defined under the Act or in terms of the law of South Africa or by the judiciary. But there are a few examples. For example, a foreigner who is in South Africa and has in the past submitted police clearance certificates from his country of residence of more than 12 months since can instead apply for a waiver that they cannot go back to their own country and seek police clearance there. This is one of especially when you want now to apply for permanent residence in South Africa, where you are, in fact, in terms of the immigration regulation number 23 of bracket 2, bracket E, you are required to provide a police clearance certificate from your country of origin. So you can then say, because I've been here for so long and I cannot ably travel back home where I need to, because you know that the police clearance you need to have stayed in a setting, they say where you have been in the past 18 months or 18 or 12 months. So if you haven't been there for a very long time, then you apply for a permanent residence. You can then apply for this particular requirement to be waived. So then the other thing is it therefore advisable for members of the Zimbabwean community who are on the ZEP and are trying to move to the other mainstream permits to then apply for waiver at this particular time? The advice I would give you is, if you intend to apply for the permits, because we know that we are left with 4 or less than 4 months before the Zimbabwe exemption permit gross period that was granted is due, which means that the permits are expiring on the 31st of December. And for those who want to apply, because my advice would be that you apply for the waiver right now, because it may take between 4 and 7 weeks for this waiver to be granted. which means that not weeks, 4 to 7 months on average for this waiver to be processed and adjudicated by the Department of Home Affairs. So you then need to apply right now. In fact, you are already a bit late, but because it's still within that period which was granted, you can start applying now. Urgently do so, because it will take you some bit of time to get an adjudication from the ministry. And we know, as I've said, can take 4 to 7 months, and already ZEP holders are left with less than 4 months for them to be here. And we already know that there is already a backlog of people who applied for waivers who still haven't received the outcomes of those waivers, which is our belief or our prayer that the grace period be granted, be extended again, because we don't foresee the Department of Home Affairs adjudicating every application before the 31st of December this year, especially considering that some people are yet to apply, and even those who applied are yet to get their responses. And you know that the time is fast running out. The Home Affairs itself has got a very huge backlog of any other business which has got nothing to do with the ZEP. Then when applying for a waiver with the Department of Home Affairs, there is some prescribed requirements, and there is a form that you need to fill. It's called Form 48, and it's called waiver. So you fill your details. There is space for your details there. You can download this form from the internet. Then you fill in the forms. You fill in your qualifications. It's about the form is 5 pages long. Then you can, after you fill in your details, there is a section where you then are given the requirements that you need in terms of section 31 bracket 2 bracket C of the Act. Now, the following documents have to accompany the application. They have to accompany the form that I've spoken about, which is Form 48. You need a letter signed by your employer citing the requirements to be waived and a comprehensive motivation for each requirement. So let's say, for example, you do not qualify in terms of the qualifications that are needed for the particular permit that you're asking for, or for the particular job that you are doing, but you have got enough experience and practical knowledge of the job, and the company believes that them retaining you there will be beneficial to both the company and South Africa, then they need to write this down clearly in a comprehensive manner, motivating for you to be granted this waiver of the requirements that are needed. Then you need a copy of your curriculum vitae. We call them the CVs. Then you need a copy of your passport, and all temporary residence permits are fixed therein that you have been using in South Africa from the time you arrived and from the time you've been working here. Then you need a copy of the employment contract signed by both the employer and the employee. Then you need the fifth one, a background on the company or institution for record purposes. So these are documents for the company, its operations, when it was registered, its payment, its tax clearance record, and all the other stuff like that. So then it says, should the request be considered favorably, a letter will be forwarded to the applicant or his or her employer, which has to be submitted with the application and remaining requirements at the nearest regional office of the Department or South African Foreign Office if the applicant is still abroad. So this is what you need when you are applying for a waiver in terms of moving from the Zimbabwe exemption permit to the mainstream South African permit. So I believe that we have answered you on that. If you still have any more questions that you want to ask us, please use the comment section underneath this video and we will respond to that. But for those who want to apply for waivers, There is no more need for you to keep on waiting. Please go ahead and apply, because it may take some bit of time before your adjudication is made and a response is given to you. And time is what you no longer have if you are moving from the ZEP to any other mainstream South African permit. I hope I have answered you enough. The forms are available. You can download them from the Department of Home Affairs website. You can download them from the internet. You just go to Google and download how to apply for a waiver. Then you will find that form. It's in PDF. You can then download it, fill it in, and then apply. For ZEP holders, you may apply for a waiver if you do not have the qualifications that are needed, but you have the experience, or if your employer is willing enough to help you apply for that waiver, then they can do it on your behalf, and then you submit this. We have, of course, heard that there's some employers who are scared to apply for waivers for their employees. We don't know why that is the case, but please keep on pleading with them so that they can assist you, because it is for both your and your employer's benefit, if you are that vital in that company, for them to then help you apply for the waiver. But we understand that some of these employers are employing people without giving them any contracts. Yet, in applying for a waiver, you need to have a contract that you have of employment, because it is one of the 5 requirements that are needed. So thank you very much. I hope you will have a wonderful weekend. Meet you again in the next broadcast.